3DB with Michael Jackson, Rock with You. Good morning, everybody. I'm Keith McGowan. It's 8 minutes past 5. Welcome to the 8th of March, a Tuesday morning, and the newspapers scream it out. And what a marvellous victory it was for Jeff Fennick last night. Congratulations to our wonderful boxer. He really is. He's the greatest boxer we've had in this country for so long, if not forever. Hands down is the headline on the back page of The Sun. One fist Fennick, 3 times a champ. Jeff Fennick, last night, became the first Australian to win world boxing titles in 3 divisions, and then he floored his fans with the news that he'd done it with a broken hand. An amazing performance. Congratulations to Jeff Fennick, the boxer who is now a true, undisputed world champion. I was just so disappointed last night that I couldn't, as indeed you people would have been too, that we couldn't get to see the Fennick fight. It was a tragedy that it was not on television. We've managed to see the others, but not this one, which was so important. We had to wait on the news as the fight progressed through radio to find out how he was going. And, of course, we got the news eventually that he was the winner of the fight, and that's just sensational. I've been interested in boxing for a great number of years. In fact, I used to be a boxer of some note when I was at school. I used to fight in a division in the under-16s. They used to call me Rembrandt McGowan. Rembrandt, because I was always on the canvas.
Have you discovered any laws? When Newton saw that an apple falls to the ground, he went on and discovered the law of gravity. Wilbur and Orville Wright discovered the laws of aerodynamics. That allows something that's heavier than air to fly through the air instead of staying on the ground. The Bible gives us some laws too, and one of them is a tremendous law that sets us free, similar to the law of aerodynamics. The old law of sin and death says that all who are sinful must pay for that sin by a penalty. The new law is the law of Jesus Christ. It counteracts the old law. It sets those who are sinful free from the penalty that should be paid. All we have to do is to accept this new law as a free gift from God. The New Testament in the Bible tells us all about it. Newton discovered a law, the Wright brothers discovered a law, Louis Pasteur discovered a law. Now you can discover a law, the law of Jesus Christ, that will set you free. I'm Peter Pitts.
Of course, my manager had a great idea for me to make money out of boxing. He used to sell advertising space on the soles of my shoes. Then there was one notable fight that I really was expected to win. I mean, really, Rembrandt McGowan was going to win this fight. But my manager threw in the towel. That was before the fight started.
Let me tell you about a place somewhere up in New York ways.
Rod Stewart with the old Sam Cooke song called Twistin' the Night Away on 3DB. It's 5:15. I'm Keith McGowan. It's good to be with you on this 8th of March, a Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday, the 9th of March. It's my birthday. I trust you won't forget that, will you? Let's check the weather today. We're in for a pretty good sort of a day today. In Melbourne, we're looking at a maximum temperature of 30 degrees. 30 degrees in Melbourne, and we've got 17 degrees at the moment. A nice sort of a day. At Geelong today, the races. At Stawell today, the harness races. Harness racing at Shepparton tonight, with the Inter-Dominion Series continuing tonight in Sydney. Inter-Dominion Round 2 will be continuing in Sydney tonight, and it's a great series. Anyway, 30 degrees in Melbourne today. In Adelaide, it'll be fine and 33. Brisbane, showers and 28. Canberra, mainly fine, 24. Darwin, showers and 32. Hobart, fine and 23. In Perth, fine and 30 degrees. And in Sydney, it will clear of showers and will reach a 25-degree temperature. Could be a bit steamy up there today. 17 degrees in Melbourne at the moment. The race is at Geelong today. And at Geelong today, we're looking at a maximum temperature of about 26 degrees. 17 degrees at the moment. Now here's Stevie Winwood, back in the high life again. Back in the high life again, Steve Winwood, who's been around forever with a number of great groups he's performed and has in fact gone through a number of musical phases. And, he's been right up to the minute all the time. What a man. It's 5:20, Melbourne's 3DB with Keith McGowan. Good to be with you until 9 o'clock this morning. At 9 o'clock, it's Bert Newton. What we've got in Melbourne at the moment is called Moomba, and it's a terrific time of the year with lots of good things happening for Moomba, all leading up to that Monday, March the 14th, which is Moomba Parade Day. The 1988 Melbourne Moomba Festival has something for everybody. For example, the National Bicentennial Dance Exhibition is on at the Performing Arts Museum at the Melbourne Concert Hall. John Brown would be interested in that. The National Bicentennial Dance Exhibition. Get it off, he yells out from the front row. Then, of course, there's the Moomba exhibition of needlework tapestry. Go along and see Lawrence Costin's entrant in the needlework. The Moomba photographic display is on at the Dorchester, the Alexandra Gardens. And here's one for you, Mayor, the Jewish Festival of Arts. Various venues around Melbourne. So there really is something for everybody in Moomba. And, of course, one of the highlights of Moomba every year in the Treasury Gardens is the Herald Outdoor Art Show. That is always a grand art show and a chance for you to stroll around the gardens and see the works of artists from Melbourne and around Victoria each year. It really is good. It's something you need a couple of hours for. 5:22.
When sometimes you feel low and need someone to help pick you up, when you're dawdling away from the path and need a gentle nudge to pop you back on the right track, when you need sound advice, a direction to take, or just want to talk, that's when you need a friend. And Sunday nights from 9 o'clock, you've got a friend in Father Darling. He'll be here on Melbourne's own 3DB to talk to and with you. So join Father Darling Sundays from 9 p.m. and you'll know.
Good morning, everybody, from 3DB. This is John Cougar Melonhead, Cherry Bomb. John Cougar Mellencamp on 3DB and the Cherry Bomb song. It's 5:27. Good morning. I'm Keith McGowan. You're invited to see the best junior water skiers from around the world compete for the Junior World Water Ski Championships. There will be jump, slalom and trick events with competitors from the United States, from New Zealand, from China, from Singapore, Great Britain, plus many other countries. The championships are taking place from today through until Thursday along the Yarra River between Princess and Swan Street bridges. Now, the competition takes place from 7 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening. And if you'd like to know more about it, which teams are competing, what events are on that day, and who the stars are who are appearing, the telephone number is 690-3233. 690-3233 if you want to know more about that.
10:26, 3DB News.
It's 5:30. I'm Peter Van. Melbourne's weather, warm and cloudy today, a top of 30. Currently it's 17 degrees. State health ministers have agreed to bring the treatment of AIDS patients under the scope of Medicare. The move has been made to try to cut the costs involved in caring for AIDS victims. Until now, Medicare grants to the states haven't taken into account the costs of providing treatment for AIDS patients. Victoria's Health Minister David White says the number of AIDS cases is doubling every 6 months, and the extra funding is badly needed in this state. The ministers have also approved a new funding formula that will increase the funding of AIDS education campaigns and community care programs by more than $500,000. 6 people have been killed in a bus hijacking in southern Israel. 3 of the dead were Arab guerrillas who took over the bus near Beersheba. 3 people aboard the bus, 2 women and a man, died before the vehicle was stormed by a special army anti-terrorist unit and border police. The bus was taking workers home from the Dimona nuclear facility. The bus driver and dozens of women managed to escape the drama, but 8 women were taken to hospital with gunshot wounds. Updating sport, Lawrence Costin.
Good morning. In boxing, Jeff Fenech has become only the 11th man in history to hold 3 titles by stopping the Puerto Rican Victor Callejas in the 10th round of their WBC featherweight title fight at Sydney's Entertainment Centre. Last night's fight was stopped by the American referee Richard Steele after 1 minute and 21 seconds of the 10th round, and Fenech revealed after the verdict that he had fought with a broken right hand. Referee Steele, who has officiated in 44 world title fights, says Fenech rates as one of the all-time champions and is capable of scaling even greater heights. Outsider Golden Blessing won the $100,000 Australian Greyhound Cup at Olympic Park last night. Golden Blessing from box 8 began fast and was never headed to win easily from Modern Gossip with Hauen placed third. The favourite Calamity Kid was away badly and struck the running rail to put paid to his chances. The winner from Victoria equalled the track record. That's the sport news. I'm Lawrence Costin.
Victoria's striking prison officers meet today to consider their next step in the dispute over the suspension of a colleague for allegedly assaulting a prisoner. The strike has disrupted court cases. Many of them have been postponed. An emergency staff of 140 officers is guarding more than 2,000 prisoners in 12 corrective institutions. Warders at Pentridge Jail are due to meet this afternoon to hear the result of a state government inquiry into the row, and even if they vote to end the strike, they're not expected to resume normal duties until tomorrow. The final sequel to the Spycatcher case in Australia goes before the courts today to decide where profits from the book will go. Shane Jackman reports.
If the British government's final legal challenge wins in the High Court today, it may be entitled to profits from the book sales in Australia. The British lost their bid in the New South Wales Supreme Court last year to stop publication of Spycatcher, but the Thatcher government will keep up the fight against author Peter Wright and has been granted leave to appeal the decision in the High Court. Over 1 million copies of the former spy's memoirs have been sold worldwide, even though the book is still banned in Britain. Australian publishers Heinemann have undertaken to keep a record of sales should the British government win damages. Shane Jackman in Canberra.
The Northern Territory government today launches its bid to abolish the 17.5% leave loading from all public service awards. The test case will be heard in Darwin by the Arbitration Commission. More than 3,000 public servants will hold a protest march in the city when the case goes before the Commission, and industrial action is expected if the loading is scrapped. News time, 26 to 6. Melbourne's weather to follow shortly.
Wondering who is Victoria's largest supplier of tipping hoists? Is the only hoist manufacturer in Victoria, supplier to all the leading tipper manufacturers, and supplier second to none service facility and always stand by their warranty? Hoist Hydraulics. Their range of tipping and transport equipment includes hoists, suspensions, brakes, power takeoffs, toolboxes, oil tanks and more. They're distributors countrywide. Now you know about Hoist Hydraulics at Bayswater. Contact them on 762-6755. Remember the name, Hoist Hydraulics, 762-6755.
Melbourne's weather, warm, cloudy today with a few showers. The risk of thunderstorms developing, light to moderate north to northeast winds and afternoon bayside sea breezes, a top of 30. On the bays, north to northeast winds at 10 to 15 knots with local afternoon sea breezes of a similar strength. Waves up to 1 metre, possible severe squalls with thunderstorms. The outlook for Wednesday, mainly fine, temperatures in the low 30s. Currently 17 degrees, it's 25 to 6, and this is 3DB, the station with Keith McGowan.
Today's Tuesday. Tuesday is chicken, Monday is washing day. Is Keith McGowan ready? The betcha like he is.
On 3DB, Elton John, one of his greatest hit songs, a song called Little Jeannie. Morning, Little Jeannie. Jeannie Little. It's 20 to 6. Good morning, I'm Keith McGowan. 17 degrees temperature at the moment. We're looking at 30 degrees for a maximum temperature today. Plenty happening today. Geelong races, be nice weather for that. Up at Stawell, it'll probably be a bit warmer for the harness races. Shepparton tonight, the harness races. The Inter-Dominion series continues tonight at Harold Park. What a great series, and the Victorians are doing so well. And the Warragul Greyhounds tonight too. I know this is a few days off, but I want you to be well aware of it. The Chelsea Spastic Centre Fete is on Saturday the 19th of March. And it's on that Saturday morning from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. There'll be all the sorts of things you expect, like lucky numbers and lucky dip stalls, handcrafts, cakes, gourmet produce, fruit and veggies, a bistro serving spit-roasted meats and salads with either wine or beer, while enjoying the music of the bush band called Just Pedal. After the fete, there will be a bargain auction of the leftover stock. Now, if you want to know more about what's happening at this Chelsea Spastic Centre Fete, you can contact Mrs. Ruth on 589-5944, 589-5944. But we want you to help the Spastic Society of Victoria through the Chelsea Spastic Centre Fete, which is on the 19th of March. The 19th of March, a Saturday morning, from 9 until 2 o'clock.
The Swagman is known for its top-class acts, and this Thursday enjoy the star of the Early Bird Show, Daryl Cotton. Let Daryl entertain you as you enjoy that famous Swagman smorgasbord.
Why must I be a teenager in love? I cried.
The talented Daryl Cotton at the Swagman in Ferntree Gully this Thursday night. Call 758 4455 to book.
I'm Keith McGowan. Bert Newton from 9 o'clock until midday today. This is Paul Carrick. Don't shed a tear, just throw mummy. A 5:45 at 3DB. Just played for you, Paul Carrick, and Don't Shed a Tear. Let's check Melbourne's weather. A warm, partly cloudy day. A few showers, the risk of thunderstorms developing. Light to moderate north to northeasterly wind and afternoon bayside sea breezes. Today we're shooting for 30 degrees. 30 degrees, that's what we're looking at. Out on the bays, good morning to Jack Yabbywells. How's Jack Yabbywells? Haven't seen Jack for so long. Good morning, Jack. Hope everything's right for you and the fish are biting. North to northeasterly wind of 10 to 15 knots with local afternoon sea breeze to a similar strength. Waves up to 1 metre. Possible severe squalls and thunderstorms, so it does sound a bit ordinary out on the bays, doesn't it? Tomorrow, for my birthday, a mainly fine day with a maximum in the low 30s. Let's whip around Victoria. Mildura today, 34, Swan Hill, 33, Horsham, 31, Albury, 30, Bendigo, 29, Shepparton for the harness races tonight, 30, Ballarat, 28, Geelong for the races today, 29, Warrnambool, 29, Latrobe Valley, 28, Sale, 25, and Orbost, 25 degrees. It's 14 to 6, 3DB with the Hollies, and we're going round and round and round on a carousel.
Riding along on a carousel, on a carousel.
On a carousel, Hollies, 3DB. It's now 11 to 6. Horoscope magazine, checking to see what the stars are indicating for today, the 8th of May. Aries, a hectic schedule. Taurans, you won't know whether to zig or zag. Geminis, you'll have some ups and downs. Cancers, you'll feel like you're on a seesaw. Leos, home and job conflicts. Virgos, your plans will almost work out. Librans, it'll be stop and go. Scorpions, self-reliance. Sagittarians, go about your business. Capricorns, today will be a topsy-turvy sort of day. Aquarians, trying to make sense today will not be easy. And Pisces, consider your opposition. And again, the Horoscope magazine will be open in our next hour. The Horoscope magazine, you get a copy of it at your news agency.
To raise money for the Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday appeal, the Australian Federation of Airline Pilots have donated a series of flights. Take a return trip to Wangaratta, Albury or Sale, or take a spectacular round-the-bay flight. Make a reservation with Ansett or Australian Airlines and you're automatically in the draw to win a holiday at Rest Point Casino or the Gold Coast, dinner at Chalky's Restaurant, Norman's Conquest Champagne and lots more. So book now with Ansett or Australian Airlines and every cent goes to the Royal Children's Hospital. Give that they may grow.
It's 9 to 6, and everybody, we must congratulate Australia's Jeff Fenech. At the Sydney Entertainment Centre last night, Fenech stopped the former world champion Victor Callejas of Puerto Rico in 10 rounds to become the new world featherweight champion in the WBC division. And Fenech revealed after the fight that he had fought the fight with a broken hand. Jeff Fenech, a champion in Australia. It's 9 to 6. 3DB with Keith McGowan and Aztec camera, deep and wide and tall, 17 degrees now and 30 degrees later. A warm sort of a Tuesday in Melbourne. Oh, and Pete Smith will be in the studio with us a little later on. High, wide and handsome, deep and wide and tall. That's Aztec camera. 3DB. It's 5 to 6 with Keith McGowan, giving you the chance to win for yourself a really nice prize in our first three-part question, which I'll ask for you around, or ask of you around 6:15 this morning. And nice prizes we've got for you, in fact, in each hour. Three-part questions all the way, and I'll give you the clue if you want to make sure you want to win one. Let me just tell you that the first round of questions this morning are by far the easiest.
Every gardener knows just how well a garden grows with the help of Logwood Nursery.
That's help with quality, service and price, like half-wine barrel planters, $28 each, flowering hibiscus at $4.50, bougainvilleas from $4.25, and a huge selection of tropical indoor plants. Open 7 days a week, Friday till 9. That's all at Logwood Nurseries, 190 Old Dandenong Road in Heatherton. Well, am I right?
Yes, it's all here at Logwood Nurseries.
Delays expected, Doncaster Road, Donvale, between east of Blackburn Road and Old Warrandyte Road today. And the Greensborough bypass, the first stage is open. The 3.5 kilometre bypass will provide an alternative route from Grimshaw Street and Main Street. Other spots we'll tell you about this morning. And Cheryl will help you get to work on time too when she arrives to tell us where the traffic problems are. Here's Bruce Springsteen.
10:26, 3DB News.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm Peter Van. Melbourne's weather, warm, partly cloudy today, a top of 30. Currently it's 17 degrees. Medicare will help pay for the treatment of AIDS patients. State health ministers meeting in Alice Springs have agreed to bring the treatment under the scope of Medicare to try to cut costs in caring for AIDS victims. The costs include the supplies of AZT.
What charge? Our telephone number is 654 6111, 654 6111. That's the number to call, and you can call me now.
Celebrate Australia's last 200 years at the Mooney Ponds Market this weekend. It's all part of the Essendon Festival Bicentenary celebrations, and that means party, 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 with fabulous non-stop entertainment on 2 big stages. Star attractions include entertainer Jade Hurley, the Silver Echoes, children's favourite Humphrey B. Bear, the Fat Cat Show, and the hilarious spaghetti eating contest. All this plus much more. The Mooney Ponds Market, corner of Mount Alexander Road and Homer Street, Mooney Ponds.
Now it's time for Cheryl from Bacchus Marsh to have our traffic report for you. It's 13 minutes past 8. Good morning, everyone. I am Keith McGowan. These reports brought to you by ProBind. And if Cheryl sounds a little bit tired this morning, it is because she was up at 2:45 this morning. A man was banging on her door, trying to get out. Okay, Cheryl, how's the traffic?
Thanks, Keith. We've got a major problem, in fact, in Surrey Hills, Union Road, north of Canterbury Road. That's a car versus a train there at the railway crossing. Union Road is now closed, so try and avoid that area completely. Union Road, north of Canterbury Road in Surrey Hills. Another accident in Blackburn, Middleborough and Canterbury Roads. Aside from those areas, most other major arterial roads are running quite well, except for the Tullamarine Freeway, which is a terrible mess. Another reminder, take it easy on the roads as they're fairly slippery this morning. And there's plenty of parking still available, lots and lots and lots, in fact, at Wilson's Parkade, 34 Little Collins Street, Maya House on Lonsdale Street, and Wilson's Queens Lane and Arthur Street. Kings at 150 Lonsdale have 215 vacancies, 474 St Kilda Road, 310, and the Southern Cross Hotel Room for 370 more cars. This is Shez at Traffic Control Headquarters on 3DB.
That traffic report with Cheryl was brought to you by ProBind, an office binding system that will always give your reports the professional finish that they need. ProBind, the perfect binding story.
ProStar Motors, the Mercedes-Benz service specialists at 141 Burwood Road, Hawthorne, present this special message. Each year, designers and manufacturers improve the performance of cars by making them more efficient, economical, and above all, safer for you and your passengers. The carnage on our roads is grim evidence of the urgent need for improvement in driving standards. It's up to us to make that improvement and survive the drive. A message from ProStar Motors, specialising in Mercedes-Benz service. 141 Burwood Road, Hawthorne. Phone them on 819-6142.
Interstate train information. The overland from Adelaide will be 1 hour late. It now arrives at 9:55. And the Melbourne Express from Sydney at this moment is half an hour late. It is now due at 9:30. But it may be even later than that. It is suggested you contact the railways to find out more on what's happening with the Melbourne Express from Sydney. At this moment, it's half an hour late, but it could well be even later than that. The overland from Adelaide is 1 hour late.
Uneasy eyes rest on a clock
Alpha Davis, don't tell me the time. Okay, I'll give you the temperature. 13 degrees now, 19 later. Harness racing at Hauen today, where it'll be about 24 degrees. Tonight, Olympic Park Greyhounds. Don't forget Terang harness races tonight. And at Terang, they're starting early with the first event at 6:45. Cool and generally cloudy with morning drizzle. That's the outlook in Melbourne. Giving you the chance now to be our winner of our final competition for this morning. Today is actress Val Lehman's birthday, born today in 1943 in Perth. What role did she play in Prisoner? She's 45 years of age today. Margaret at Geelong.
B. In Prisoner. She played B.
B who?
Oh. I guess she'd remember as B.
On March 15, 1877, Australia played England in the first cricket test. It was played at the MCG. Australia won by either 2, 45, 101 or 154 runs.
It's 101.
New South Wales politics. On this day, 1985, Mary Farquhar was sentenced to 4 years jail. On what charge?
Embezzlement.
Not correct. Thank you for being with us, Margaret at Geelong. Nice to know you're listening. Let's go to Betty at Richmond. Morning, Betty.
Morning, Keith.
What role did Val Lehman play in Prisoner?
B. Smith.
On March 15, Australia won that test by 2, 45, 101 or 154 runs. How many?
45.
New South Wales politics. On this day, 1985, Murray Farquhar was sentenced to 4 years jail. On what charge?
Accepting bribes.
Not correct. Thank you for being with us. To our next caller, and it's Margaret at McLeod. Hello, Margaret.
Morning.
Val Lehman played.
B. Smith.
The cricket test was won by Australia by 2, 45, 101 or 154 runs.
2.
How many?
2.
New South Wales politics this day. Murray Farquhar sentenced to 4 years jail. On what charge?
Perjury.
Not correct. Thank you for being with us. Let's go to Evansley, and it's Linda. Morning, Linda.
Good morning.
Sleep well?
I sure did.
Good. Val Lehman.
B. Smith.
The number of runs, 2, 45, 101 or 154.
154.
And Murray Farquhar was sentenced on what charge?
Pervert course of justice.
You haven't given me a correct set of 3 answers, I'm sorry. Thanks for the try, though. Robert's at Port Melbourne. Morning, Bob.
G'day, Keith. How are you?
Good, thank you. Val Lehman played.
B. Smith.
The cricket match was won by 2, 45, 101 or 154 runs.
45.
And New South Wales politics. On this day, Murray Farquhar was sentenced to 4 years jail. On what charge?
Taking bribes for getting prisoners out of prison. Letting them out early.
Yeah, what would have that charge been called, would you think? Do you think it might have been perverting the course of justice?
Yes, Keith.
You do think that?
Well...
But I haven't heard you say it.
Perverting the course of justice.
Very good. Congratulations, Robert.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Good. How many runs did you say?
45.
Yes, that was right. I just had a sudden thought you might have given me the wrong answer there.
Nah.
Okay, thank you for being our winner. Bob at Port Melbourne, Robert at Port Melbourne. Back you go to Marvellous Mayor, and he'll tell you how you can collect your prize. Val Lehman did play the role of B. Smith in Prisoner. She's 45 today. Australia won the first test against England in 1877 at the MCG by 45 runs, and Murray Farquhar was sentenced to 4 years jail on charge of perverting the course of justice. Questions and answers from the Diary of Australia. We play our games 3 more times, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We look forward to playing the game again tomorrow morning in our first hour.
Every gardener knows just how well a garden grows with the help of Logwood Nurseries. From the day you sow the seeds, we've got all your garden needs. Yes, it's all here at Logwood Nurseries. We've got the biggest range in town and all the right advice. That good old-fashioned service and good old-fashioned price. Yes, it's all here at Logwood Nurseries.
Roadworks around Melbourne, delays expected, southeastern Mulgrave Arterial Road link, Taronga Road Melbourne, north of the railway crossing, Warrigal Road Chadston, southbound lanes at Mulgrave Freeway, Burke Road Glenaris, 1 lane operating for northbound traffic between Carroll Crescent and Gardeners Creek, and at Doncaster Road Donvale, east of Blackburn Road to Old Warrandyte Road, east and westbound traffic will be affected by the road duplication project.
For a spectacular night out, enjoy the Swagman restaurant in Ferntree Gully. There's the famous Swagman smorgasbord to enjoy, and what a lineup they have planned for you. Bev Harrell, Dennis Walter, Marcy and the Cookies, Frankie Davidson, Lee Conway and Chelsea Brown, just to name a few of the great entertainers coming soon to the Swagman. Give them a call and find out when you can see your favourite. You're guaranteed of a fantastic night out. The Swagman Restaurant in Ferntree Gully.
It's 24 past 8, 3DB with Keith McGowan, 15th of March today, the Ides of March. Look out for Biggest Macus.
Oh, the shark, babe, has such teeth, dear. Look out, old Mac is back.
Bobby Darren, look out, Mac the Knife. Look out for the Ides of March. 27 past 8 at 3DB with Keith McGowan. The Overland from Adelaide is running 1 hour late. Will now be here at 9:55. There is some uncertainty about the Melbourne Express from Sydney. At this moment, it's half an hour late, which means it would be in at 9:30. But it may be even later than that. They are expecting probably more delay with the Melbourne Express from Sydney. Best you check with the railways about the arrival of the interstate train, the Melbourne Express, out of Sydney. But here's Dolly Parton. Love like a butterfly.
Like a butterfly, as soft and gentle as a sigh.
10:26, 3DB News.
It's 8:30. I'm Peter Van. Melbourne's weather cool and cloudy today, a top of 19. Currently, it's 13 degrees. Prime Minister Hawke and Foreign Minister Bill Hauen have suffered a setback in their efforts to have their man fill the position of ALP National Secretary. The acting secretary, Ian Henderson, looks certain to take the post after the centre-left withdrew support from Bob Hogg. But the faction last night decided to rescind the move and again back Mr Hogg, who's now certain to win the secretary's job. Mr Henderson is preparing to withdraw from the race. Mr Hawke is known to work better with Mr Henderson, and Mr Hauen wanted him to have a centre-left supporter in a major party position. The federal opposition will use Parliament today to pursue the government over the latest row involving Mick Young. Mr Young has resigned as president of the ALP after taking a part-time consultant's job with Qantas. Opposition leader John Howard says public outrage has forced the former immigration minister to relinquish the party presidency. Mr Howard says the episode reflects badly on Prime Minister Hawke, who said there was no conflict of interest involved in Mr Young taking the Qantas post. Bandits escaped with about $8,000 in cash and a shotgun after robbing the Panton Hills Hotel in the early hours of this morning. 3 people were terrorised during the robbery. 2 balaclava-clad men entered the hotel at about 1:45 and confronted 3 people. The people were threatened and bound with masking tape, and one of the 3 was hit with a gun butt. He's in a satisfactory condition in the Austin Hospital. Prison officers who saved the lives of 2 inmates at Geelong Jail will be recommended for bravery awards. 3 officers applied mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to 2 prisoners who were clinically dead after overdosing on drugs at the weekend. Police Minister Steve Crabb has commended the officers and says he'll be making the recommendation for the awards. Mr Crabb says he'll consider introducing more thorough searches of people visiting prisons after the incident at Geelong. He says half of Victoria's 2,000 prisoners regularly use drugs. Updating sport, Lawrence Costin.
A mystery virus is sweeping through the training complex where 5 of the top Inter-Dominion chances are stabled. The virus has already been responsible for the withdrawal of My Lightning Blue and stablemate Quite Famous from the series. The 5 horses under threat are Bag Limit, Rufus Youngblood, Carelta's Gift, Our Maestro and Tiff's Mystery. Trainer-driver Dick Lee of Rufus Youngblood fame says his horse is fine at the moment, but he admits to being a little worried. The Inter-Dominion final at Harold Park will be run on Friday night. In tennis, Pat Cash has moved up 2 places and is now ranked 5th in the world. Ivan Lendl remains the number 1 player, ahead of Mats Wilander, Stefan Edberg and Boris Becker, with Cash next. Jimmy Connors has dropped to 6th place. Meanwhile, Boris Becker is the leading money earner on the pro circuit so far this year, with $186,000. Tim Mayotte is in 2nd spot with $127,000, while Mats Wilander has won $110,000. The top earner among the Australians is John Fitzgerald with $98,000, while Pat Cash has already won $88,000. Jimmy Connors is on the breadline. He's only won $49,000. That's the sport news. I'm Lawrence Costin.
The chief executive of the Fairfax organisation, Peter King, says the future ownership of the Age newspaper will depend on price. And Mr King says he can't rule out a foreign owner for the paper. He says there have been discussions on the future of the Age with Rupert Murdoch, but they haven't reached the fine print stage. The Fairfax Group has closed 2 of its papers, the Sydney Sun and the Times, on Sunday. 500 jobs have been lost, 370 redundancies, while the rest of the staff left voluntarily or opted for early retirement. Former Queensland policeman Jack Herbert and his wife have agreed to return to Australia. Queensland Premier Mike Ahern released news of the Herberts' decision but refused for security reasons to give details. More from Scott McKinlay.
Mr. Hauen said the Herberts had agreed to return voluntarily and that extradition proceedings before a London magistrate have been dropped. Jack Herbert's been named at the Fitzgerald inquiry as a bagman for corrupt police and is seen as a crucial link in the investigation into police corruption and organised crime. Exactly 5 weeks ago, the Herberts, both 63, were arrested at their London flat. They made no pleas to charges of conspiring to pervert the course of justice and were released on bail of $153,000. Mr. Ahern's announcement made no mention of when the Herberts would return. Scott McKinlay, Brisbane.
About 2,000 IRA supporters have braved driving rain to pay tribute to 3 members of the outlawed organisation shot dead while on an abortive bombing mission in Gibraltar. The bodies were flown home from the Rock on a privately chartered jet, and British troops had to unload the coffins after civilian airport workers refused. Police in the Irish Republic and in Ulster have been put on alert to counter possible incidents during the transfer of the bodies from Dublin to Belfast, where the funeral of the trio will be staged. News time is 25 to 9. Melbourne's weather to follow shortly.
There's always something new at the South Melbourne market. And to tell us what's new, here's Danny Hill.
And at Joni's Garden at stall 108, the potting mix large is $2.99, you save 80 cents. Terracotta seconds and first at factory prices. 12-inch black tub, seconds a big special at $1.50. And bird feeders in terracotta at $7.95.
South Melbourne market, open from dawn till 2 on Wednesday, till 6 Friday, 12:30 Saturday and 9 to 4 Sunday. South Melbourne market.
Melbourne's weather cool, generally cloudy today. Some morning drizzle patches, moderate southwest to southerly winds and a top of 19. On the bay, southwest to southerly winds at 15 to 20 knots, decreasing to 10 to 15 knots during the morning. Waves of about 1 metre. Wednesday becoming fine, a maximum of 20. Currently 13 degrees, 24 to 9, and this is 3DB, the station with Keith McGowan.
Today's Tuesday, today's Tuesday. Tuesday is chicken, Monday is washing day. Is Keith McGowan ready? To bet your life he is.
I don't understand where I fit in.
I don't understand where I fit in. Well, basically, I don't. That's Barry Michaels. It's 21 to 9. Good morning, everybody. I'm Keith McGowan. Thank you for joining us. Bert Newton from 9 o'clock this morning. Well, we've heard and we've read so much about the Minogues, and we watched them on Friday night, of course. Last night, more awards were handed out. The Entertainer of the Year for Variety was Johnny Farnham. The Variety Club Heart Awards were handed out in Sydney last night. Lots of categories and an equal number of winners. Entertainer of the Year was Johnny Farnham. Young Variety Award went to Kylie Minogue. Heart of Variety Award went to Ricky May. He'd be thrilled with that. Television Personality of the Year was Ray Martin. Radio Personality of the Year was Mike Carlton of 2GB in Sydney. Obviously, I came second. Showman of the Year was Greg Anderson. Stage Actor of the Year, Max Gillies. Stage Actress of the Year, Robin Nevin. Television Actor of the Year, John Wood. Television Actress of the Year was Anne Phelan. Comedy Artist of the Year was Brian Doyle. Don't know how funny Brian Doyle is. I've never pinched any of his material. Recording Artist of the Year, Johnny Farnham. Band of the Year, Icehouse. Musical Theatre Actor of the Year, Normie Rowe. Well done, Normie. What a beauty. Wouldn't be too miserable about that, would he? Musical Theatre Actress of the Year, Debbie Byrne. Film Actor of the Year, Leo McKern. Film Actress of the Year, Rachel Ward. And the Humanitarian of the Year, Ruth Jensen. So that's a summary of the awards that were handed out last night. The Variety Club Heart Awards handed out in Sydney, and Bert Newton will have more about that this morning.
Total Insurance Services in St Kilda Road reminds everyone that once behind the wheel of your car, gambling with your safety is a bet you're sure to lose. In the insurance stakes, Total Insurance Services are strong favourites when it comes to finding you the best deals for house and contents insurance, boat, caravan, business, travel, in fact, just about any insurance. Don't come in, just call Total Insurance Services on 529-8233. That number again, 529-8233. Total Insurance Services. Their name says it all.
It's 19 to 9. Cheryl at Traffic Control Headquarters. Cheryl, what happened with the concrete canoe race last Friday night?
Well, it was a bit of a shame.
Okay, now tell us about the roads.
St Kilda Road.
Did you finish up in the water? You would have floated anyway.
Oh, thanks a lot. No, I didn't finish
Got
up in
her
the
own
water.
floaties, you
Did
see.
very well, in fact. No, we had a bit of a paddle around the river and it was lots of fun.
Did you win?
Well, no. You see, the race was cancelled. The weather wasn't too good, so they didn't have, they couldn't really run the race. So, never mind. Oh well, next year. Anyway, at the moment, St Kilda Road, Queens Road and Kingsway are very heavy. It's not exactly a barrel of laughs on the southeastern freeway either. Malvern and Waverley Roads quite busy as well. Victoria Parade's heavy, but it's managing to move along. The Tullamarine Freeway is not too bad, I guess. Mount Alexander Road is quite busy. Flemington and Footscray Roads are A-OK, and Lygon and Rathdown Street, surprisingly, they're very busy at the moment. The Eastern Freeway is banking back towards Chandler Highway, and out in the east, Canterbury, Whitehorse and Doncaster Roads all very heavy this morning. And we've got an accident in North Melbourne, Victoria Street and Capel Street, and also Union Road north of Canterbury Road in Blackburn, where that car and the train met. That's still fairly congested, though the accident scene itself is mostly cleared. And there is still parking available at Wilson's Parkade, 34 Little Collins Street, Meyer House on Lonsdale Street, and Wilson's Queens Lane and Arthur Street. Kings at 150 Lonsdale have 170 vacancies. 474 St Kilda Road, 200, and the Southern Cross Hotel, room for 340 more cars. This shares at Traffic Control Headquarters on 3DB.
17 to 9. That traffic report brought to you by ProBind, an office binding system that will give your reports the professional finish that they need. ProBind, the perfect binding story. Call Gordon Knight. Morning, Gordon, on 548 3022. And Cheryl will be back with us tomorrow morning, making the trip to Melbourne. 3DB at 13 to 9 with Kenny G. Songbird. I think the bird forgot the words. It's 13 to 9. Good morning, everyone. Keith McGowan with you until Bert Newton at 9 o'clock this morning. And still to come, a grand big hit song from the 1960s by the Drifters. Could be one of your favourite songs. And also, I've got B1 and Recurrent 105. Let's open the horoscope magazine. see what the stars are indicating for the Ides of March. Aries, don't leave anything to chance. Taurans, don't throw caution to the wind. Geminis, say as little as possible. Cancers, there could be some questions tonight. Leos, partnership stresses. Virgos, come down to earth. Librans, romantic thoughts. Scorpions, it will be easy to overshoot the mark. Sagittarians, don't be careless. Capricorns, keep a tight rein on the purse strings. Aquarians, you're inclined to rush off. And Pisces, don't go overboard with your secret plans.
Look, sir, in 1985 you insured the car for 10 grand. Now it's been ripped off, so you get 10 grand, simple.
But its value's risen by at least 3 grand. How can I replace a $13,000 car with 10 grand?
You took the policy.
I know. I'll get the Lion on the line.
If your car is stolen or written off, the Lion Group will pay you its current market value regardless of how much it's gone up in value since you took out the policy. Get the Lion on the line on 690-5577 and track yourself down a better deal.
Overland from Adelaide, an hour late. Will arrive at 9:55. Melbourne Express from Sydney, at least half an hour late. That sort of means it might get here about 9:30, but may even be later. If you're expecting friends on the Melbourne Express from Sydney, contact the railways and they'll tell you what time it'll get here.
Here at 3DB, we'd like to say congratulations to Bert Newton for winning the Hall of Fame award at the 1988 Logies. So,
Congratulations, Bert!
good on you, Bert.
Ralph McTell, wandering around the streets of London. Ralph McTell. I've never walked the streets of London.
Have you seen the old man in the club? And in the all-night cafe at 11:15.
Don't shed any tears. No tears at all. 3DB with Keith McGowan. And stand by for Bert Newton.
Here at 3DB, we'd like to say congratulations to Bert Newton for winning the Hall of Fame award at the 1988 Logies. So,
Congratulations, Bert!
good on you, Bert.
Don't forget the problem with the trains at the moment. The interstate trains into Melbourne this morning, both running a little late. Maybe it's a good idea for you to check with the railways to get their exact arrival time. The one out of Sydney, that's the problem. They're not really sure what time that will be getting here.
You can dance, every dance with the guy who gives you the eye. Let him hold you tight. You can smile, every smile for the man who held your hand beneath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home, and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Oh, I know that the music's fine, like sparkling wine. Go and have your fun. Yes, I know. Laugh and sing. Yes, I know. But while we're apart, don't give your heart to anyone. Yes, because don't forget who's taking you home, and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, save the last dance for me. Baby, don't you know I love you so? Can't you feel it when we touch? I will never, never let you go. I love you oh so much. You can dance, go and carry on. Oh, I love you so. Can't you feel it when we touch? I will never, never let you go. I love you oh so much. But don't forget who's taking you home, and in whose arms you're gonna be. So darling, sing the last dance for me. Say the last dance for me. Say the last dance for me. Oh, say the last dance for me. Say the last dance for me.
10:26, 3DB News.
It's 9 o'clock. I'm Peter Van. Melbourne's weather, cool and cloudy today, a top of 19. Currently, it's 14 degrees. The way is clear for Bob Hogg to be elected National Secretary of the ALP at the party's national executive meeting on the 7th of next month. The centre-left faction has turned away from acting Secretary Ian Henderson and again swung its weight behind Mr Hogg in an embarrassing setback for the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Bill Hayden. Last night, several members of the centre-left criticised Mr Hayden for his failure to consult with them before making decisions. They stressed the faction should be seen to not rat on the original deal, which involved backing Mr Hogg, an advisor and close colleague of Premier John Cain. Parliament will resume in Canberra today with the federal opposition on the attack over Mick Young's new job as a consultant with Qantas. Sarah Helroyd reports.
Mr Young has bowed to pressure from within the ALP to resign as party president, but with only 4 days to go until the New South Wales election, the opposition is expected to maximise its use of the issue to embarrass the government. Mr Young's resignation takes most of the heat out of ALP anger over the timing of his new job with Qantas and resolves the question of conflict of interest at a time when the ALP is debating privatising the airline. In Parliament today, the opposition is expected to claim that Mr Young's new position is just another example of government jobs for the boys. Sarah Helroyd in Canberra.
Consideration is being given to introducing more thorough searches of people visiting prisons to cut the flow of drugs to inmates. Police Minister Steve Crabb says about half of the state's 2,000 prisoners use drugs regularly, and a large amount of the drugs are smuggled in during contact visits with prisoners. Mr Crabb says many prisoners ignore drug rehabilitation programs. 6 inmates at Geelong Jail overdosed on drugs at the weekend. 2 of the inmates were clinically dead, but they were revived by prison officers. Updating sport, Lawrence Costin.
In tennis, Pat Cash has moved up 2 places and is now ranked 5th in the world. Ivan Lendl remains the number 1 player ahead of Mats Wilander, Stefan Edberg and Boris Becker, with Pat Cash next. Jimmy Connors has dropped to 6th place, while John McEnroe remains steady at number 15. The Westfield Sydney to Melbourne Ultra Marathon has become a handicap event. Yanis Kouris, who has dominated the race to such an extent, the organisers have placed the Greek champion 12 hours behind the other runners. Kouris finished 27 hours ahead of his nearest rival last year. Race director Charlie Lynn says Kouris wasn't all that happy when it was suggested he start from well behind scratch.
No, well, when we first asked him to start 24 hours behind. He thought about that, but he said no because he's trained all year. He has a special method, and his main tactic in the past has been to get in and run non-stop for 48 hours and establish an unbeatable winning margin. And he said he didn't have enough time to change that mental preparation. However, when we reapproached him and asked him to if he'd consider 12 hours, he thought about it for a while and he said, yes, I accept.
The race incidentally starts from the Parramatta Shopping Centre this Thursday. That's the sport news. I'm Lawrence Costin.
Any foreign application to buy the Age newspaper will be treated on its merits. That's the word from the Office of Federal Treasurer Paul Keating. The Fairfax Group, which owns the Age, says control of the paper is dependent on its price, and Chief Executive Peter King says he can't rule out a foreign owner. Mr King has confirmed talks have been held with Rupert Murdoch on the possible purchase of the Age. 2 other Fairfax papers, the Sydney Sun and the Times on Sunday, have folded with a loss of 500 jobs. Work care benefits paid to 700 claimants have been stopped by the Commission administering the scheme. About 300 of the people who've lost the benefits have returned to full or part-time work. The Accident Compensation Commission started a review in January of long-term work care claimants, and more than 5,500 cases have been reviewed. Some of the cases involve people who'd been on benefits since 1985 when the scheme started. Israel's Prime Minister is in Washington for talks about the problems of the occupied territories. Guy Morgan reports the outlook for a US peace plan doesn't look promising.
Yitzhak Shamir will be in Washington for 4 days, talking about moves toward a settlement in the Middle East.
We've come to this great country to discuss a matter that has been uppermost in Israel's agenda from its first day. Peace with our neighbors.
Shamir will be talking with U.S. Secretary of State Schultz, President Reagan, and others about Schultz's peace plan for the Middle East, a plan Shamir doesn't like. Mr. Reagan is expected to use all of his powers of persuasion to try to sell him the Schultz plan, but it's not considered likely Shamir will change his mind. I'm Guy Morgan in the United States.
An Australian missionary is due to appear in court later today in Mozambique. 26-year-old Ian Gray is alleged to have collaborated with anti-government forces in the African nation. He was arrested last November near the border with Zimbabwe. The opposition spokesman on Foreign Affairs, John Spender, says Australia should refuse aid to Mozambique unless Mr. Gray is released or receives a fair trial. News time, 9:05. Melbourne's weather to follow shortly.
I'm gonna knock on your door, ring on your bell, tap on your window too.
The Red Cross needs money. It needs money to ensure its vital work in the community is maintained. When Red Cross knocks on your door this week, please give generously.
I'm gonna knock and ring and tap and knock and ring and tap and knock and ring and tap and knock and ring until you do.
Melbourne's weather, cool, generally cloudy today. Morning drizzle patches, moderate southwest to southerly winds and a top of 19. On the bay, southwest to southerly winds at 15 to 20 knots, decreasing to 10 to 15 knots during the morning with waves to above 1 metre. The outlook for Wednesday becoming fine, a maximum of 20. Currently, it's 13 degrees. The time is 9:06, and this is 3DB, the station with Logie Hall of Fame member Bert Newton.
You ad-lib then, Peter.
Yes, I did, Bert. Congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed, and thanks also to everybody at 3DB for the lovely sign that was greeting me here this morning, which was not only very, very much appreciated by myself, but also I've been told that I can keep it, and I certainly am. It was a lovely thought on behalf of the management, Ian Toole and the whole gang, and it was just a beaut way to start the day. I've broken format. Am I allowed to do that? Yeah, why not? We might just break format completely, eh? What can they do? I mean, it's only 2.5 weeks to go before we say bye-bye on Deep. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Bert Newton program. And I hope that you're fit and well. I hope your long weekend was a good one, an enjoyable one. I had quite a memorable one. We'll be talking about that a little later in this hour. Got lots of people to talk to this morning, including Peter Ford, who'll do a report on the Logies. John Howard regarding the Mick Young affair, the new Mick Young affair. Vic Rail is coming into the studio. A very sad, I mean, congratulations to Jim Surkey. It was just wonderful to see the delightful gentleman take off the big one yesterday with Dandy Andy, but it was an anticlimax, wasn't it, to what was going to be the race of 2 centuries. Why they called it the race of 2 centuries, I don't know. Any reason? Yeah, Brad's going to type up why. Oh, of course, the bicentenary. Yeah. Yeah, I see, I understand. Well, yeah, no, but anyway, it was going to be a great, and I thought Vo Rogue had it like everybody else. And guess who got on Vo Rogue for the first time this year? Because I thought, even money, Vo Rogue, you little ripper. Anyway, congratulations to Brent Thompson, to the horse, Dandy Andy, and to Mr. Surkey. If it had to happen, if a champion had to be beaten, it was wonderful to see that the horse was in the care of this delightful man of the turf. Phyllis Diller is going to join us this morning. Also, we'll be talking to Di Smith from A Country Practice, her wedding. She's going to join us this morning. And John Howard, as I say, is going to be our first guest with comments on the Mick Young affair. I've also got some comments I'd like to make a little later in the hour. I suppose that I owe it to you, my loyal 3DB listeners, to put you in the picture as to what could be called, I guess, a mild controversy concerning the Logies on Friday night. We'll hear what Peter Ford has to say about the program, and then you and I will talk about it. So, welcome to the show. Good to have you with us on this Tuesday, March the 15th, 1988.
Trickle, trickle, splash, splash. Tell me how long will this rain last? The rain keeps dropping, there ain't no stop. She's there waiting and I'm hesitating. Tell me how long will this rain last? Tell me how long will it last?
Manhattan Transfer. Joe, Louise, and Colin, I think they are. And Trickle, Trickle. It's 9:11 on 3DB, Tuesday morning, March the 15th, 88. Not much of a day, 14 degrees if you're driving into the city at this moment, or driving to your work anywhere in the metropolis. You've got pretty heavy traffic this morning, haven't you? I suppose, like myself, many of you have fallen for the old 3-card trick. You forget that it's the first day back after a long weekend, and where it normally takes you X amount of time to get to your destination, it takes you Y amount of time. How's my knowledge of algebra, eh? Took me an extra 20 minutes, 25 minutes this morning. Admittedly, there was an accident on the way in. No one was hurt, fortunately. It always amazes me and pleases me how cars can be wrecked, and then you find the people who've been driving them are okay and giving all the information. Obviously, a little bit of shock, but giving the information to the cops and so forth. And it makes you feel good, doesn't it? Because you see it from a distance, you think, oh, please, nothing wrong, please, nothing wrong. You get there, and I think it's the old story. It doesn't matter what happens to your car, so long as you're okay yourself and everybody else is concerned. In just a few moments' time, we speak to John Howard, Leader of the Opposition.
There's always something new at the South Melbourne market. And to tell us what's new, here's Danny Hill.
And Paul at stall 208 has a full range of Easter baskets, the best in Melbourne, from $1.95 to $30, boxes of chocolates from $3.50, plus all the other goodies to choose from, including biscuits, cakes, lollies, to fill your own Easter basket.
South Melbourne Market, open from dawn till 2 on Wednesday, till 6 Friday, 12:30 Saturday and 9 to 4 Sunday. South Melbourne Market.
Child accidents around the home can be avoided if dangerous household items are removed from the reach of prying young hands. A message from Barella, makers of fine timber and Laminex kitchens. A new kitchen is now within your reach at Barella. They firmly believe they can offer a quality kitchen you can afford. A kitchen is a place to have pride in. Barella have the gift in the making of them. For a free, no-obligation quote, phone Lou on 460-3287 or drop into 287 Edward Street, Reservoir.
It's 9:13 on 3DB. You're Bert Newton. Happy Moomba to you. I hope that you had a good Moomba break, with no disrespect to anyone concerned with Moomba. I think it got off to a very slow start, and I'm not too sure whether this year it really had the excitement. Certainly didn't have the media attention that it normally gets. And once again, with no disrespect to anyone, I think the Bob Moores, admittedly I could be a little biased because he's an old mate, but I think Bob Moores, who had been director of Moomba for many years and wasn't reappointed, I think they missed him more than they realised. It's the old story, I suppose. There are certain keys to certain jobs, and you've got to know them before you can take them on. But anyway, I hope it was successful in other ways, but just from the observation of one who read a lot of press and watched a lot of television over the weekend, listened to a lot of radio, just didn't seem to have the impact that it normally does. Back with you after this break.
Each Tuesday and Wednesday night, catch up with the latest product information, real estate updates and prices on both in our Shop Talk segment. That's when 3DB gets together with Len Carita of Community and Real Estate News and talks about issues relevant to you. Shop Talk, Tuesdays and Wednesdays between 7 and 8. Join us.
14 and a half minutes past 9, just whilst we're waiting for John Hauen to come to the line. Of course, the reason for speaking to him this morning is that Mick Young yesterday cut his last official ties with the ALP when he resigned as national president. Last Thursday, Mick Young accepted a consultancy position with Qantas, allegedly paying $3,000 a week, although news is now that it's not nearly as high as that, or certainly not as high as that. With the privatisation issue high on the agenda of the ALP's forthcoming national conference, it was clear to me anyway that Mick Young had no other option but to resign. I think most people would see it really as a conflict of interests. The question still remains, though, should Mr. Young have accepted the position with Qantas while he was national president of the ALP? To discuss this further, I have on the line right now the leader of the Liberal Party in the opposition, John Hauen. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Bert. Nice to talk to you again.
Likewise. One thing that I want to ask you is I saw a clip from the Prime Minister last night in which he declared that he can't wait to get into the House today to take you on. I would have thought the boot would have been on the other foot.
Well, I think it is too. I don't quite know what the Prime Minister's getting at, but I await this afternoon with bated breath. And our criticism of Mick Young's appointment is based on two very solid grounds.